The Adirondack Park Agency has been a lightning rod for controversy basically since its inception. The latest issues have been about potentially moving its headquarters to Saranac Lake, the issue being whether the APA director, Barbara Rice, has a conflict of interest in that. A new report from the state investigated and cleared her of wrongdoing. We explain why on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Morja Wealth Management, serving the North Country for 3 generations. MorjaWM.com. Securities offered through Hightower Securities, LLC, member FINRA, SIPC. Hightower is an SEC-registered investment advisor. And Kinney Drugs, now offering specialized home medical equipment and supplies. Learn more at KinneyHomeCare.com.
Hey, I'm David Summerstein. It's Tuesday, July 1st, Canada Day. First up, in the first major poll against potential Republican challengers, Governor Kathy Hochul has a sizable lead over North Country Congresswoman Elise Stefanik. The Siena poll released today showed Hochul with a 47 to 24% lead over Stefanik, who's been heavily signaling a run for governor next year. Hochul also leads Republican Congressman Mike Lawler 44 to 24%. But it's not all good news for Hochul. Pollster Don Levy says more than half of respondents said they'd rather vote for someone else, and Hochul failed to get more than 50% of the vote against anyone.
She has her work to do, and New Yorkers still are telling us that they're unhappy. There is dissatisfaction. The issue of affordability, health care, crime, all of those issues continue to weigh on New Yorkers and weigh quite heavily.
Stefanik is the clear favorite among Republicans polled, but Levy says any GOP candidate would face an uphill battle in a state where there are about 2 Democrats for every Republican. Many of these candidates remain largely unfamiliar to many New Yorkers, and despite the fact that Lee Zeldin came pretty close, 6-7 points, to Kathy Hochul in the last gubernatorial election, any Republican has significant work to do to win over in New York. Stefanik hasn't made an official announcement on whether she's running for the state's top job. The Hill News reported on Friday that could come soon. 2 Clinton County residents have filed lawsuits against the city of Plattsburgh. As Kara Chapman reports, both are centered around the recent controversial appointment of a new police chief.
Last fall, then-City Police Lieutenant Jared Trombley was accused of improperly using his city vehicle and cell phone and not fully investigating more than a dozen serious cases. He signed a settlement agreement in lieu of disciplinary charges and retired shortly after.
The agreement stated that if he ever returned to city employment, he could only be appointed to the position of lieutenant.
That's city resident Joan Jansen. She's suing the city because Trombley did rise above lieutenant and was appointed police chief. Here's what happened. Mayor Wendell Hughes reinstated Trombley shortly after Hughes took office in January. Trombley effectively led the department as a lieutenant for months because the last chief had retired last fall. Then in May, Mayor Hughes reached out to the Clinton County Department of Personnel, which oversees the hiring for all municipalities in the county. According to an email obtained by Jansen, he requested that Trombley be appointed police chief. Jansen says Hughes didn't disclose that the settlement agreement restricted Trombley from seeking the position.
Relying on incomplete information, the Personnel Department approved the appointment on May 13th. On May 14th, the mayor modified the settlement agreement, allowing Trombley to return to any position that he was qualified for.
The next day, the city council voted 5-1 to make Trombley chief of police. At a press conference Thursday, Jansen announced a lawsuit alleging the mayor and city council didn't follow proper procedures to appoint Trombley.
By withholding key information and altering the agreement right before the vote, the mayor effectively bypassed the original restrictions on Trombley's reemployment. We are asking the court to nullify the Common Council's vote and to nullify the appointment of Jared Trombley.
The second lawsuit against the city also involves the police department, specifically the release of an investigation into its policies and training, but also those workplace misconduct allegations against Police Chief Jared Trombley. That probe was launched in February, and the results still haven't been made public. That's why Clinton County resident April Wood is suing the city. Speaking alongside Jansen, Wood said she submitted several FOIL requests asking the city to release the report detailing that investigation, and they failed to do so.
The citizens of Plattsburgh have the right to know what is in that report, The public was led to believe that an independent investigation into the police department was conducted and paid for with public funds. The findings must be made public.
Mayor Wendell Hughes has said he intends to release the findings of the investigation. In a Facebook post dated June 17th, he said, quote, "As soon as I can release this report, it will be released." Speaking through his assistant Thursday, Hughes offered no comment on the lawsuits. 3 of 6 counselors deferred comment to the mayor and city attorneys. They and the other 3 counselors didn't respond to a request for comment by deadline. The Clinton County Department of Personnel was also named in Jansen's lawsuit. Director Kim Kinblom said the county has retained counsel and has no comment. Both lawsuits have court dates scheduled for later this month. Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio, Plattsburgh.
The head of the Adirondack Park Agency, Barbara Rice, has faced allegations of misconduct and mismanagement in recent years. The main criticism focuses on how she's handled the APA's potential move to Saranac Lake. But a new report released yesterday from the State Inspector General has cleared Rice of any wrongdoing. Emily Russell has been following the controversy and spoke with Catherine Wheeler this morning on Northern Light.
So Rice has been really focused on this potential move since she took the helm of the APA 3 years ago. As a reminder, the APA is based in Raybrook. It's been headquartered there since the agency was formed more than 50 years ago. The building is now pretty old. There's rot, there's mold, there's mice. So the state set aside $29 million a few years ago. The plan was to either renovate the Raybrook office or build somewhere new. And the agency, under Rice's leadership, has really honed in on Saranac Lake. Rice is from Saranac Lake. Her family owns a furniture store downtown. So that started raising some eyebrows among APA staff.
So what were the allegations against Rice, and what did the Inspector General's report find?
There were a number of allegations about Rice misleading lawmakers about how much it would cost to move to Saranac Lake, likely more than $29 million appropriated by the state. There was also an allegation that Rice was abusing her power to influence the agency to move to her hometown. Another allegation suggested Rice offered a quid pro quo to the firm conducting the feasibility study. But the Inspector General found no evidence of those allegations, and it found her push to move the APA to Saranac Lake is within the bounds of her authority.
Okay. There was another allegation against Rice and her connection to Saranac Lake. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so for the past 3 years, the APA has hosted an annual planning forum. It's a big 2-day conference for key leaders and planners in the park. And when the APA first started laying out the details, it went looking for a place to host the forum. It accepted bids for a month, but none came through. The APA altered its hosting criteria and began another month of accepting bids. But again, no bids came through. Now, during that time, Barb Rice was not allowed to contact a potential host venue. That's according to state finance law. But her phone records show she placed a 4-minute call to Hotel Saranac during that second month of bidding. And then the APA accepted bids for one more month, and only one bid came through, and it was from the Hotel Saranac.
Okay, that sounds questionable. How did Rice explain that, and what was the Inspector General's finding about that phone call?
Well, Rice told the Inspector General she knew she wasn't supposed to call potential bidders, and she actually denied having done so. But the IG's report found that there's just no way to know what Rice said during that phone call and whether or not it altered the process to find a host venue for the planning forum. The IG also pointed out that Hotel Saranac was the only place to bid, so the fact that they were selected doesn't confirm any wrongdoing.
What have you heard from the APA about all of this?
Well, I requested an interview with Barbara Rice yesterday, but I was told she was unavailable. The APA did issue a statement from Rice. She said she was pleased with the outcome and excited to move forward. Now, while the investigation does clear her of wrongdoing in all 4 of those allegations, the last paragraph of the IG's report shed some light on the culture at the agency during the investigation. It said Rice began relying more on her inner circle, and many top staffers said they were worried about being replaced or fired. Meanwhile, the APA is still working on its final proposal for a new headquarters, so we still don't know how that will all unfold.
That's our Adirondack reporter, Emily Russell, speaking on our morning show, Northern Light with Catherine Wheeler. Music today by Christopher Watts of Canton and Muskox of Ottawa. I'm David Sommerstein, North Country Public Radio.